Article out today says this. Democrats on Sunday seized on an intelligence assessment that said the Iraq War has increased the terrorist threat, saying it was further evidence that Americans should choose new leadership in the November elections. The Democrats hoped the report would undermine the GOP's image as the party more capable of handling terrorism as the campaign enters its final 6-week stretch. These are the same Democrats who were shaken in their boots after 9/11 and supported the president's actions, particularly on Iraq. Fucking opportunism. Anyway, what I wanted to say is, isn't this report just about common sense? I pointed out in my last videos how violence provokes violence. It doesn't fight it. I mean, did anyone ever think you could fight anger with more of the same? Or even fight it with fear? I hate to be condescending, but come on. The most successful fights in history, perpetrated by such men as Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., were not fights with violence. They were fights against unjust laws and men, armed with nothing but the truth. They changed the world. Now, much can be said about what happened after the fight was won, but it's the principles that are important. We know we can win battles without weapons. One of the more interesting arguments in Gandhi's time was what to do about Hitler. Much. A virus like him is simply feeding on a living host, meaning his money and armies were coming from somewhere. Am I saying that everyone in Germany was evil? Nope. Some were simply afraid. Impending death loomed over their head if they refused to cooperate. Of course, he had honest-to-God supporters as well. The main thing is that had they simply refused to feed Hitler, he would have proverbially died. Same goes for those in every country he occupied. Hitler's armies would have killed many, but eventually just ran out of money and men. Hell, they killed a whole lot anyway. In other words, people still wanted to go to work, to work towards their personal goals, despite the atrocities, unwilling to give up their lifestyles for the greater good. Sacrifices must be made in order to achieve these nonviolent goals, as they must be made in war. So which is better? To me, the answer to that question is obvious. In nonviolent non-participation, anger, greed, and hate is fought against, not provoked. In my last video, I pointed out that we are making terrorists of the future in places like Darfur, and we are making current terrorists by the dozen in places like Iraq and Palestine. When I say we, I speak from a worldly perspective, not as an American. People accuse me of speaking against Bush. I speak basically against every government out there. In my eyes, despite what people assume, I see the Bush administration as being quite idle. Much like other governments of the world, they are accomplishing nothing. In fact, fueling a fire. So let us all grab our sticks and drums and dance. Don't forget your war paint. That's what we're doing right now. Just a big fucking dance around the real problems and their solutions. Making money on war to feed our lifestyles. But how do we convince people to sacrifice for the greater good? Tough question. Revolution of this kind must be shown by example, which is a paradox. Even though there have been revolutions like this, on a more localized scale, i.e. the color revolutions in many communist nations in the 80s, the Indian Revolution led by Gandhi, and the way I see it, the Internet Revolution, which is forcing big production companies to lower prices, simply because people can get movies and music for free. All it takes is for people to open their eyes to what has already happened and see the wisdom of putting it into practice on a large scale. Our current political structure geared towards capitalist war simply won't work in the long run, and to prevent a future catastrophe, we must purge the excesses now, to revolutionize the future slowly, rather than in one swipe, which I see as the inevitable ending if we don't change the system now. Do you want the good life now, only to have it yanked from under you later? Or will you bleed off a few things you don't need painlessly, with the genuine possibility of getting it back, after the system has been changed? I have to point out that I get a lot of views, comments, ratings, but not a lot of subscribers. People, I make videos like this about every other day. Become a part of it. Spread the message of truth. No one can argue with you on it. I'm still figuring out my philosophy. and you are here to watch the evolution of it. Hopefully I will never finish searching, and neither will you. Your comments and emails do help shape my thoughts as well. This is a collective effort, and everyone needs to be a part of spreading our message. I am anonymous simply because I am influenced by so many people. I choose for you to visually see a representation of an evolving idea, made of many colors and sounds. The purpose of my videos are not egocentric. I am fighting for all of you, whether you like it or not. Thanks for watching and thinking along with me.